welcome into the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. It's the club championships for the Esports Tower Fall Rumbles, and we're wrapping up the first week of club championship events with Fortnite. We're excited to see some intense duos action tonight. Tonight on the show, we'll be showcasing 4 different Esports Tower teams, the Infernos, Tsunamis, Mammoths, and Monsoons. Expecting some very intense games over the course of the next 2 weeks to see who will end up on top at the club championships. I'm your host, Michael Fisher. Joining me to call all of the action is Alex, not Koba Moore. And Koba, I gotta ask, because you pointed this out to me, do you think anyone will drop at the Daily Bugle, the home of Spider-Man? Because I did not know that it had been added to the Fortnite map until you mentioned it right before our cast started.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they really decide to drop in those hot zones. We do know there's a little bit of ruling where you can't fight if you're dropping something too hot, so we'll have to see how that really ends up being out and seeing if that really is a highly contested space, or maybe it's actually in the safe zone. We'll have to see how that plays out here.
I hope we see it at least once. As Koba did say, on the tournament server, there's different zones depending on where the storm is that you can and can't fight people in until Storm Surge starts. So if you see people filling up each other's cars, just walking past each other, that is why that happens, because I know we were all very confused. Like, hey, what's going on? Like, what is this? Oregon? Why are they filling up each other's cars? It's all very confusing. But the club championships, they end the fall season. They put a bow on everything before the winter season for these rosters to show off their skills. 2 weeks of club championships, independent from each other. That way, different teams are able to play in both weeks of the events in the Fortnite side of things. So I'm excited to see how this goes as we remind everyone as we get ready to hop into our first match. Support your team, celebrate your successes, be respectful of the other fans, and Moz remove anyone who violates the chat rules. Let's take a look at our players and our teams that will be competing here this week. Some names that you might recognize. I know we've seen Mini, we've seen Fall as well, but we'll also get some names that we have not seen. The Tsunamis, the Mammoths, the Monsoons, all players that we get a chance to see for the first time. So I'll be curious, Koba, to see if we get different strategies, because we've seen the run and gun early on from some of our teams. We've seen the slow, looted up pace. So I'm curious what the Tsunamis, Monsoons, and Mammoths will bring to the table here tonight in our club championship.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting seeing these brand new teams coming out for these championships, see what kind of styles they're going to be playing. Like we've mentioned, we've seen one team play very passive, very safe, while the other team's hyper aggressive, going for all the eliminations. And so I'm guessing we'll see either end of the spectrum. We'll see the other two teams kind of be in the middle area there. We'll have to see what they decide to bring out here. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this.
Before we get into the game, though, we have Doc's keys every single game, but I don't think there's a game that Doc's keys are more reliable on than Fortnite, because he probably has more hours than anyone in this building, and maybe even more hours than some of our players. I know that apparently is like a Doc family tradition around the holidays. He always brags to us that everybody comes around and they get like a victory royale every night. So let's take a look at Doc's keys of the game, presented by Esports Tower. You can score pro advice at esportstower.com. It's have a drop plan, work your strategy, know your roles, and of course, Doc's favorite, you got to have those sweaty comms. You got to know what's what if you want to pick up that victory royale. Improve your game sense, improve your team play, improve your performance under pressure. You'll get matched with great players and professional coaches to help you rank up. Well, it's time to kick off our first game of the club championship, see if anybody can start the night on top. The first time we're seeing some of the duos in action, as we talked about, so we're excited to see these new team strategies. As we said, 4 teams, but we're going to take a look at 2 teams in each event, highlight those 2. So our first event will be the Infernos, who we've seen before, and the Tsunamis. And I'll be very curious to see how things go. And again, Kobe and I are just hoping for a Daily Bugle drop, and we hope we get to see some Spider-Mans as well.
Yeah, really exciting to see if we'll have any of those Spider-Mans zipping across the field, making their way just all across the map as fast as possible. Especially interesting later into the game once they've got those buildings where you can actually swing off and just see what they bring out. Looks like we're going to hop into it.
We are going to hop in. Storm starting here soon. I was going to ask, my other co-host Chosen loves anime. He was a big fan of our teams bringing out the Naruto skins. Was there a certain skin you were hoping for in tonight's event?
That's a tough question. I mean, there's so many good options in Fortnite. It's hard to really just pick one. I do have to say I'm a fan of the Tsunami's festive look going into this club championship. Always have to look your best, especially with the seasonal items when you don't have too many options where those are really fitting in.
Yeah, I do like the seasonals we see here. We're just kind of, well, that was some form of fishing there with the grappling hook. I guess if it works, right?
Yeah, finding some of those shield jellies, getting a nice purple shotgun. Not going to choose to go for it. Just kind of waiting for the storm to start shrinking out here.
Surprised they didn't grab the purple shotgun. The shotguns have been a huge key for our players, especially late in the zone, since there's not a lot of fighting early on because of the tournament server rules. Those shotguns are key when everyone starts building. Now, Kobe, I also have to ask you a very important question.
Okay, I'm ready.
High ground or low ground?
I mean, I have to agree with you. I think the high ground is just so much better. You can actually see what's happening if you can get the drop on people. Because high ground gives you the option where you can stay there or you can actually drop down. Well, if you're in the low ground, it's going to take so much longer to actually change your positioning and really change up your strategy. So I think the high ground all the way.
I'm glad you finally agree with me. I know one of our players, it was in the chat one time, said high ground wins game, low ground wins tournament. So we respectfully disagree. High ground all the way. And we're just looting up. We're just chilling.
Yeah, I'm just kind of taking it slow here. Just getting ready on those mats. Gonna go for a nice little swim here. But most part, we just see the Tsunamis just kind of building their time. They're not even too close to each other, so they can really optimize, grabbing all the resources, make sure they're really covering all the angles.
And the resources are huge. I do believe, though, I could be wrong, but I think the Infernos might be outside the Daily Bugle right now. I think those question marks on the bottom left of your map
believe that
might be the Daily Bugle. So I hope they rotate down there. They're going to have to at some point, as neither of our teams were in the safe zone. But again, they're just looting up. You can't really fight anyone until Storm Surge starts. So no pressure on either of our teams.
Yeah, might be just looting outside, kind of going to get ready for it so they can really push into it as this storm circle starts to shrink, but we'll have to see what they go for. Still got about a minute. Do you see the Tsunamis are a little close to some other players? Might be able to see some contention going on here.
I think outside the circle is usually where the safe zones are to, at least get some loot. But again, I just like when we see, people filling up each other's cars and, just helping each other out. Because the supplies are key. We've seen that a couple of times in some of our Rumbles where a team runs out of supplies because they dropped hot, they couldn't loot everything up, and then they're trying to push through the zone with very limited resources, going through everyone else's 10-story mansions. So I'm a big fan of them just looting up. I'm curious where this circle is because I know it's the new map with the new season. I don't know how much has really changed in terms of the maps at the end of the day. It's just 18-story huts being built across the entire map.
Yeah, it seems like so far it's somewhere to the southwest, but we'll have to kind of wait a little bit. Once our teams start making their way into that circle, we'll tell a little bit better. Speaking of, that circle shrinking's coming up.
Does start shrinking. 4 minutes until it fully circles in, and the Storm Surge on its way a little bit after that as well, so we can finally start seeing some fight and see teams get built up. But Esports Tower teams, the Tsunamis and the Infernos, they don't have any pressure. They're just looting up, getting all the resources they need, and you can see, I think we might get a Daily Bugle appearance here, Kobe, on our right side of our map.
Yeah, they're going up that crater.
I don't know how you can slide uphill.
It's impressive.
That is not how gravity works, last I checked.
I mean, if you make it work, Looks like they're going to hop on the zip line up there as well.
There it is.
We made it.
I don't see Spider-Man anywhere. I do see his
webs.
Yeah, I do see his webs there, but they're just moving over to loot right along. Some other squads in the area, but again, no pressure from either of these teams.
Yeah, they're just going to kind of take their time, see what scraps are left. I imagine most of the good loot has been taken at this point, but might be able to find a few chests that haven't been opened.
I know a couple squads have been here the whole time. As you said, all the good loot is probably taken, so make sure you're good on shield potions, make sure you're good on med kits. Now you're just scrapping through the buildings, looking to find something important, if you can find anything at all.
Yeah, definitely see they're prioritizing some of the steel. Want to make some stronger structures going into this later game. So that's primarily what they're breaking down here, just trying to get that maxed up 500 mats for it.
I don't see any vehicles in the area. I know usually when our teams drop outside, we do hear some shooting going on.
Yeah, it seems like there's somewhere else at the Daily Bugle. We'll have to see what they decide to go for, though. See if they actually get some action coming out here. Meanwhile, the Tsunamis are just kind of making their way through the river slowly, making their way towards that circle.
Trying to hunt down this roaming log. I guess if you don't have a vehicle, a log ride's always a great way to get inside the circle.
Yeah, you always have the option to kind of jump in the water, hide out, so it's not a bad choice.
Our Tsunamis are in the circle. Our Infernos are well outside, but they're still almost minute 40, minute 30 on the clock. So plenty of time for them to relocate. I'm curious how much good loot they got because they started well outside the zone. Yeah. And now they're, you know, in the Daily Bugle where, as you said, there's another squad. So all the good loot's probably taken.
They're finding a few blues here, and they're not really picking them up. So they've got to have something a little bit better. But yeah, it's definitely be interesting to see what they kind of bust out when we see this first action coming. I wonder how long do you think they're going to stick around here? Do you think they can stay for this full minute, or?
Well, the circle's right on their tail. It doesn't do too much damage. I think it's like 1 damage a sec. It's not even a bother if you get stuck in the storm this early, but.
Yeah, it starts out pretty low, not too consequential, but we see they're pretty close to the circle, actually. I think they're going to make it in time.
Oh, yeah, no problems from them. Curious how they'll be set up. Usually you're going to have to push in probably a good, decent way for that second circle to come through. Make sure you get set up. I think the third circle is usually when the Storm Surge sets in, and that's usually when we'll start to see some of that fighting. Make sure you're ahead of the curve. Don't want to take that Storm Surge damage. So we'll see where they set up.
Yeah, looks like they're going to make it just fine. There are a few other teams in the area. Have to be a little careful, but Tsunamis seem to be kind of on their own. I don't see anyone else on their entire mini-map.
Yeah, the Tsunamis are just, I mean, I think it's the drought that usually kind of take that play style of just hang out, loot up, and that's exactly what the Tsunamis are doing. You said there's no one else on their screen right now. As the first Storm Eye will shrink in, and we'll see where our teams have to head. And you can see right there the Infernos are basically already at the next circle while the Tsunamis have a little bit of ways to go, but I don't think they're worried at all.
Yeah, I think they're pretty happy with being outside the circle. Just lets them safely farm up farther away from everyone. And if we just look at the Infernos, there's, what, 3 other teams in their vicinity? Definitely going to have to play a little cautious here. You know, we're just farming up some more of these trailers.
Do believe the Tsunamis have matching skins, by the way, which always means your team's more in sync than the other team.
I mean, they've even got Santa in their name, so they've kind of come all out. They're working together. They're ready.
The one player we're watching here, Donut, been working closely with Coach Hart to work on their game sense, as Donut is primarily the IGL. So he kind of works to try and help his team get a good placement finish, so you want to keep all eyes on him. And they said Donut wanted to play with Merc for the championships, as Merc is a new player with some great fragging ability, and they complement each other very well. With Merc being a new player, they can kind of get on that same page. They don't have those habits, those old habits that kind of die hard if you've been a long-time player. So that'll be a fun kind of combination to watch out for those two.
Yeah, definitely a good combo to have kind of the old experienced player with the newer, fresher face, strong mechanics. So we'll have to see how they do bring things out. But meanwhile, the Infernos have definitely gotten themselves surrounded.
They are ready to go here again. I think it's when the third circle starts, we get that Storm Surge, which is when everyone is free game. So they've got their little hut up on top of the hill. They've got the high ground. They'll get a couple extra pieces of loot, and we'll start this Storm Eye shrinking here in about 20 seconds or so.
Yeah, it's slowly making their way down. We're getting pretty close. Meanwhile, Tsunamis do finally get somewhat close to another team. Do see Blue just barely beat them into the circle. They're going to be coming up around them, but if they're able to continue just staying just out of their range, they might have the jump on them once this game really opens up for the combat.
Storm Eye shrinking. I believe when there's that Storm Surge coming in, you see the damage threshold, so that does mean all shooting is good to go. We're ready to open fire, and you can hear shots already being taken, as you mentioned, Koba, looking for that flank onto a couple teams. You've got light blue in front of you, you've got green over to your right, and now we see they're taking all kinds of shots.
Yeah, you have to keep their eye on the building, see where their other teams are at, 'cause that's definitely the easiest way to tell if you see some logs flying out of space to form a ramp.
They're pushing this blue team right in front of them.
Yeah, I don't think they know about them. They have not revealed their location at all. A few shots coming in now.
Curious if they're gonna. Oh, now they're getting some return fire.
They've been spotted for sure now, but they have to be careful. There's there's enemies on the other side as well.
Yeah, it was surprising that they didn't push the building instead trying to get some chip damage from the outside. As you can see how all manner of bullets coming in onto Donut. Meanwhile, we look here at the Infernos. Pretty much the same thing, just on the other side of the map. Taking some shots here and there. Trying to stay above that Storm Surge damage just a little bit.
But the Infernos have the high ground.
True.
They're feeling pretty safe right now. No one seems to be able to really find an angle on them. They're a little bit outside of that pure danger circle, or we can see in that bottom left, everyone's just gathered up right next to each other. So they've got a bit of space, a bit of a cushion to really kind of get some damage in. They're going to take a little bit of shots here now as well.
Yeah, they got that yellow team down there in the corner. I am worried about, I think this circle most likely pushes into that danger zone you were mentioning, Koba, so they're going to have to reposition. I don't know how many resources they've wasted on this building here, so I'm going to be curious to see if they maybe burn too many resources out on this edge. Now we're taking a lot of shots. Meanwhile, Donut and company, they're healing back up, and they're right on the edge of that circle. But they've got that light blue team right next to them. We're going to get a brawl here, I think, between the Tsunamis and that other team pretty quickly. Yeah,
I think it's a little bit of a game of chicken to see who decides to really push into that circle. They don't have to go far, but whoever does it's going to be exposed and might take some serious damage. See the Infernos watching a few players, getting a few pot shots in there.
A little bit of damage to the shields, but nothing too crazy.
Extreme.
They also have to push in as well, so they got to be careful that with the team behind them, they don't get shot in the back.
Looks like we did miss it, but look, Mini does have one elimination right now for the Infernos, so they've gotten a little bit of damage in here. But there's still 77 players in this lobby, so there's a lot of time to really sit yourself up and get some nice kills in this game.
Yeah, the real action doesn't begin until like the 5th or 6th circle. That's when everyone's on top of each other. That's when people are starting to die left and right. Of course, I'm always hoping for some esports tower on esports tower action.
Yeah, we've gotten it a few times, so have to see if any of these teams. And now we've got 4 teams, so twice as many opportunities for it.
That is true. Got the Tsunamis pushed in, so they did make it past that blue squad. But they're kind of surrounded. We've got, you know, green right behind them. We've got 2 light blue teams. You can see a bunch of bullets flying in, destroying their walls. They're going to waste a lot of resources here trying to stay alive and not take too much damage.
Yeah, it looks like they held out for that first wave. They're able to kind of keep their positioning. We do see red approaching from the backside as well. They're going to run into the blue team, but they might decide to rotate a little bit more towards the Tsunamis. No, it looks like red's going to push in, so for now, Tsunamis are feeling safe. Just have to keep up using their resources to protect themselves.
Meanwhile, basically the other side of the circle are the Infernos. They're now on that low ground, so they pushed in to the chaos zone, as you can see there.
They decided to take their car in, help them get in that positioning. But yeah, they are dead center in the middle of like 20 teams. It's going to be a challenge to really come out alive in this one.
You can hear all the shooting going on right above them. Meanwhile, the Tsunamis pretty far away. Not too much action. We do got a yellow on green battle over there in the corner, you can see. Be curious to see who ends up coming out on top of that one. Maybe try and third party them here as they push into that circle.
Yeah, joining up a little bit, but meanwhile, the storm's shrinking. We'll have to see where this is going to end. It could potentially end in Rocky Reels, it looks like. So always excited to see it end in the middle of like a city that's a hot drop where people have been all game. We'll have to take a look here, but we've got a few more shots coming in.
So Mini is no shields right now. Gonna have to blow that med kit to get back up to full health as well. Meanwhile, we do see that Donut actually ended up getting a knock onto a member. We'll see if they end up getting the elimination or if their teammate will be able to revive them.
Yeah, looks like most of them have some allies nearby. I don't think that'll turn into elimination, but they've only got a minute to actually get in that circle, and there's 6 other teams that can be watching them for the same time. That's going to be a challenge for them to really push in.
So you can kind of see here the Tsunamis and Infernos on opposite sides of the circle. The Infernos kind of right on that dirt to snow patch, while the Tsunamis are upriver a little bit. So we will see, a bunch of shots coming in onto Merc, who took a lot of damage.
Yeah,
now you've got this.
He
got down, and the circle's right behind you.
taking so many shots. It's so hard to get this revive up, but it's running out of time.
I don't know if they're going to be able to get Merc up.
Going for it.
Barely.
Seems like the shots have stopped coming in, so I think they're going to make it. But they've still got a ways to run. They're right by the circle.
That circle's
got to move.
It's shrinking. Right, you can see it's literally right behind them.
They're pushing in with the storm right on their heels. But
they're going to have to push through the water as well. Oh, that's a great slide there from Donut. Covers a lot of ground.
You see the blue team riding in at the same time. They found a car, though.
That is lucky. I'll give them some nice cover. Almost full health on the car, so... The problem is they're going to have to build up from scratch.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge for them to really push through here.
Oh, there.
Taking a lot of shots.
There they go. They finally do get a safe zone right on the edge of that hill.
Yeah, it seems like they've found themselves in a decent little pocket. There's not too many surrounding them, but definitely want to cement themselves and get quite a tower built up for them. So meanwhile, we see the Infernos are still just surrounded in the thick of it.
I'm more concerned about the Tsunami just because they're a location. But I think both our teams are nice and safe now. Not too much damage going out onto either side. So I think the Infernos are hunting. You can see Fall X there doing a decent bit of damage to somebody.
Yeah, they're definitely staying in the thick of things. Start editing their way out, kind of looking for creative opportunities where they can actually get some angles on some people. Actually, no, they're going to just change their position. They're going to take the taxi and drive off.
The one thing our...
oh, I didn't even see the circle changed again.
Ooh, it's right next to the Tsunamis, actually. One thing to worry about here for the Tsunamis is that Storm Surge. You can see Donut's taking a ton of damage. Needs to get above that threshold here.
Yeah, that's not something you can mess around with. You have to make sure you're keeping yourself healthy, especially in this later game when there's still half the lobby and the circle's
that is
tiny.
That is a crazy rotation, too, as you called out. The Infernos were kind of ahead of the curve. Now here comes everybody else.
So now we got themselves in a nice position where they could get some shots on, but looks like they're going to play it a little safe here.
Tsunamis ended up working out. I thought they had the risky position, but
gonna go for it.
They're able to at least get off the low ground.
Push up a little bit, get themselves in the circle, because I think they were just on the edge. They were just outside of it, but I think they're safe now. 43 players left.
Get another rotation here in 10 seconds as the Infernos are looking for another kill. Oh, there's a nice elimination for Fall.
Got one. They're able to pull out a few of those items. Strengthen themselves a little bit.
Let's see, you got two teams there.
Got 2 eliminations for the Infernos. They're sitting pretty a little bit. Just look at the circle moving again.
Oh, that is
north of Rocky, so we'll have to see how they're able to actually rotate. They do still have that taxi.
I feel like that's too risky at this point, especially with all the teams there. Now the Inferno's going to go kind of hunting a little bit into the storm.
Oh, I got trapped, taking some damage.
Oh, finds a launch pad though. Nice recovery there for the Infernos. Meanwhile, the Tsunamis are stuck just kind of building their way out.
Yeah, some not too far, but Falcon's taking some damage. Donut's going down, actually. It's going to come down to Merc for the Tsunamis. Going to have to bring things up. Just kind of keep them in this game. We're already in the top 18. Just want to keep going a little bit farther.
And we have seen players in the past make some incredible solo runs, so would not shock me if Merc's able to make a run, maybe get a top 10 here or something. Caught in the storm. Should have a med kit, should be able to bandage up here once they get in a good position.
I don't know if they're going to make it.
Oh, they're getting shot in the back now. Now they're trapped outside. Oh,
Merc falls down.
It's like a 16th, maybe it's 17th place finish there for the Tsunamis. We'll see what the Infernos can do. Still alive here.
Yeah, they're still looking pretty healthy. We see the zone circle changing again in 30 seconds, though. And that's really where the challenge comes in, is how you survive these late game rotations.
You kind of have to have yourself, you know, like a story of the building, because it just becomes a giant hodgepodge of buildings, and hope that no one's there. I mean, we've seen the Infernos take a couple of fights, though. They've definitely been aggressive. And they're going to early rotate here, but they get caught. Unfortunately, the teams got separated.
Bail them out. Oh, and Mini's going to fall down.
Mini goes down as well. 13th finish there for the Infernos. So not bad. 16th and a 13th, not a bad way to start the club championships. And I think we really saw there at the end, going at it alone can only get you so far. If you want to increase your chances of success, you got to up your teaming skills. At the very end there, Koba, you saw Fall turn around, thought it was Mini, it was someone else. They shotgun him in the back, and that kind of spelled doom for the team. You could see that at the Esports Tower, though, really takes time to create teams with well-matched teammates. I thought that Tsunami's team meshed really well together with the old player and the new player. I want to give a shout-out to all the coaches. If you're watching, you haven't checked out Esports Tower clubs yet, you should. It's a fast track to rank up. So our players maybe got a bit aggressive. Once it becomes that giant hodgepodge, it's a lot of luck. Did you have a jump pad, which neither of our teams did? But at the end of the day, not a bad start to our club championships here.
Yeah, I mean, they had some solid runs. They both were able to push their way into that final circle, which was just really all about the rotations and just finding the safest opportunity to go for it. So for the first game, that was well done.
Well, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back with game number 2 in our club championships. I think maybe switch up the teams as well. We'll be back right after this.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Welcome back into this Esports Tower Rumble in Fortnite. Last game of the first week of our club championships. We'll wrap up all of the club championships next week, and we'll see some more teams in the Fortnite one as well. Not a bad game one, I think, overall, Koba, for the Infernos and the Tsunamis. Both teams ended up with top 20 finishes. Couple of late game mistakes there. Couple of probably just didn't get lucky looting a jump pad or launch pad there in that early game is really what cost them, because when you get that launch pad, you don't end up in the middle of a fight. But overall, I don't think they did too bad. I think any advice for them going into the next game when they get to that top 10, get to that Victory Royale status?
Yeah, I think it's all about really how you're playing this late game, because like we've seen, so many of the teams survived until that point. It's really about cementing yourself in a nice spot, but making sure you still have the mats available to really either safely build yourself out or, like you said, loot or have some kind of bounce pad or a vehicle, some way where you can rotate quickly but safely.
Well, before we hop into game number 2, though, we do want to take a moment to congratulate all of our Esports Tower Club members who have graduated from the clubs and been offered scholarships across the country. Over the last 3 months, Esports Tower Club members have received over $1.2 million in scholarship awards. These students have not only worked hard on their in-game play, but have worked hard academically as well and have earned these scholarship opportunities. The players that receive these scholarships are talented, hardworking, and driven. We could not be more excited and proud to see all of the opportunities that these players are getting and the opportunities they continue to get. So I'll be curious to see how our teams do in our next game. Again, loot slow. I don't think any of our teams will be dropping in those hot zones, because you can see probably about 5 or 10 kills early on in the game. Again, there's some areas you can shoot, some areas you cannot. I would expect those slow drops, loot up. We didn't really see any resource issues. It was just kind of those instant deaths. And before we do, though, of course, we got to get to Doc's keys, because Doc knows this game so well. I guarantee you Doc has more Victory Royales than he'd be willing to share with us. And these are presented by Esports Tower. Score pro advice at esportstower.com. You got to have a strategy. You got to have a drop plan. Work your strategy. Know your role. And those sweaty comms, especially when you're rotating zones. We saw that with the Infernos. Didn't rotate together. Ended up being in a 1-on-2 for one of the players and got eliminated, and I think many fell as they were trying to make it over to their team. Improve your game sense, improve your team play, improve your performance under pressure. You'll get matched with great players and professional coaches to help you rank up. As we jump into our next game, the Infernos and Tsunamis managed to kick the night off with actually 2 top 15 finishes, as I am told. Pick up some decent frags along the way. Mammoth had an good early game, but we didn't get a catch them. They got caught out in rotation. They were eliminated before the top 20. Now it's time for these teams to jump into game number 2, see if they can build off their performances. We'll stick with the Tsunamis, but we'll switch it up. We'll now have the Monsoons as our other team to be keeping an eye on. So I'm curious how Donut and Merc will work together, and also to see how the Monsoons will play, because the Infernos had a very good strategy. Play slow, get in the zone, don't take too many fights. I'm curious what the Monsoons will bring to the table here.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see this new team coming out, bring things into this battle. We'll have to see what they decide to drop out. Maybe we'll see the Daily Bugle again, but we'll have to kind of see how the circle plays out.
And one thing for the Tsunamis that we actually saw in that game is coming into the club championship, they were working on end game plays, such as moving zones 3 and 4 and how to position and how to rotate correctly. We saw that where they had to hop in a car, kind of race down. I thought they ended up in a bad spot, but they actually ended up right where the circle was. So curious to see when we get to that zone 3, zone 4, those end game rotations, how Merc and Donut will do. And then on the other side, we got Heiza and their teammate there. See what they want to do is they've got the Christmas skin. At least they've got some reindeer antlers on their head.
Yeah, looks like we see some coordination here. We'll have to see if they're able to keep that going through the gameplay as well. Meanwhile, we see Donut taking some serious damage.
Yeah, they are in the hot zone. Is Christmas Soul going to get down? But as you said, Donut is down as well. Looks like both players may drive away. There's the elimination for Murr.
Taking some shots back from the teammate, though.
Ooh, got to be careful.
Still got plenty of time to pick up Donut. See if he just wants to try and get that res and go for the 2v1, or if they're going to continue just trying to battle it out.
Oh, you saw him on the other side of the wall there. You can see each other. They try and put that window in. Get some nice healing at least.
Yeah, he's playing it safe, and I like it. He's running out of time, though. We've got about a third of the health bar left on Donut. Needs to play a little bit quickly just to make sure he can pick up his teammate and really help himself getting into this late game. But meanwhile, he's playing aggressive.
Well, they do have those revive stations that they can revive people at. So if Donut does go down, they would be able to revive them back in a sense. But it looks like the other player also might have realized, since their teammate is down, They might want to just go pick that up. So Donut comes back, and ooh, the early hot drop works out for the Tsunamis, but it was scary there for a moment.
It was. Luckily, they're able to pick up Donut, and that player's still in this building. Have to see if they're gonna able to find him and through all these alleyways. There it is. See the combat coming out.
There they go.
Landed, and they eliminate Christmas Herxie.
That's odd to me that Herxie allowed them to get the revive off. Would have thought maybe they would have tried to chow them, but I guess not. So we get some early action here, and meanwhile the Monsoons with the more typical approach, just looting up. No fishing yet. That's about the only thing we're really missing from the typical early esports tower plays.
It'll come. It'll come soon. I'm sure of it. But yeah, I mean, that was a great drop for the Tsunamis, really able to find themselves in early advantage. They're able to claim that entire location to themselves and just kind of get all of the equipment and mats that they want.
I mean, I know it's a little different on the tournament server since, you know, there's certain zones you can't shoot in, but I'm always a big fan of dropping a little high and making sure you get some kills, get fresh, because after a while it turns into looting and running simulator, and then you get in a fight and you're like, wait, what do I even hit again? Like, I haven't shot someone in 40 minutes. So I'm a big fan of dropping hot. I'm glad it worked out for the Tsunamis. And while the Monsoons, they're in the circle, which is where the Tsunamis had some action. So I don't know if we're in a safe zone or not, but there is no one next to them, so.
So it's safe either way.
Yeah, actually, there's a player right next to Heiza. I thought that was their teammate. There was a player kind of by that gas station, but Heiza just peeled out, and looks like we won't have to worry. So now it really is safe.
Yeah, we'll find that taxi. Able to rotate pretty quick. Because you see the storm coming up to shrink here soon. Just about 10 seconds away. So both teams have a vehicle, so really opens up the map for them, gives them a lot more options of where they want to play, and really decide how they want to approach this game.
And both teams, well, I guess even the Tsunamis still even on this island are in the circle. There is another squad over here.
Yeah, just on the other side there.
That looks like we must be in a safe zone as there's no shooting yet.
I think the other player's not looking this way, so I don't think he actually knows Donut's here, but as they come up the ridge, I'm sure he'll find out pretty quickly.
Where the Monsoons are in the circle. I'm curious where they want to locate. Probably somewhere in the middle. Maybe my guess. Maybe trying to predict an early rotation. If you're able to build up an early safe house. I'm curious where exactly they're looking to go.
Yeah, definitely have to keep our eyes, see where they're going for. For now, they're just kind of looting up, making sure they have plenty of their mats for this late game. Maybe looking for a jump pad or two, maybe some Spider-Man webs. That's what I'm hoping to see in this game.
You want the web slinging action?
I want to see the web swinging.
I feel like it puts you at a risk, but I'm with you there. I would love to see it.
It's one of those high-risk, high-reward type scenarios.
Exactly.
Maybe high-risk, low-reward. Not sure.
I mean, high risk looks cool, though, and that's all that really matters.
That's the main thing. I still got a bit of time before all this action really breaks out. We see 22 players or so have gone down. That's pretty typical for this point. Won't see too many more until that third circle starts coming upon us.
Good news, though, for the Tsunamis, once you get to that Storm Surge, which is based on the average damage in the lobby, and that's kind of how you saw them taking damage, they're not going to have to worry because they got 2 kills. They'll be ahead of that forever. So, see if that matters at all. Monsoons haven't shot anybody yet, so they'll be a little bit more forced to take some action when we do get that Storm Surge.
Yeah, definitely. They're going to have to find some people to kind of play the game with. Look for a little bit of action, but they've got some time until then. So now we're just going to continue looting up. Really looking for that optimal zone setting.
I'm probably looking for a bit more shields. Since they died early on, they don't have full shields. Or at least got downed, I should say. They did get revived by their teammate.
Yeah, definitely going to be something that they really need looking into this game.
Ooh, they did get into the secret vault, though.
There's another team a little bit close to them. Seems like they're able to get in here pretty safely. That's where they're finding their chug jugs, they're finding their shields, and they're going to be sitting pretty going into this game.
Circle is slowly sneaking in on them. So they will have to move out eventually.
That's true. Still got a minute though, and they're not too far from it. It's about on the edge of their mini-map.
And as we said, it doesn't do too much damage. It's not like you're going to have to panic right away.
They're just kind of making their way. We do see the Monsoons finding another team over there.
Yeah, I'm curious where the Monsoons are. I mean, they've been in the middle of that map for quite a while. I'm curious if this is there where they want to set up an early base. As we see the Tsunamis, they're just going to jump out of there. There's that launch pad. They're just going to reposition well into the middle of the circle.
Yeah, they've got quite a ways where they can fly. They've really got a lot of options here.
Yeah, going past Logjam Lumberyard. Maybe stock up on some last-minute supplies.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this zone ends up finishing out. There's no real major locations over here. It's the way the circle's going, but we'll have to keep our eyes on it.
To that other team that was right behind the Tsunamis, they ended up just driving right past them. They got into the middle of the zone. The Monsoons also on the outside of the zone. We're going to get around the big lake in the middle, which could make a rotation very interesting if you're going to have to start building across that lake. That'll be something we have to keep an eye on, maybe.
Yeah, it's always dangerous. The lake is just so wide open, where you can really be shot from any side, any of these hills and valleys on the side. You have to be careful of it. But Monsoons near some people. Definitely going to have to be careful for when that storm surge starts.
Got one more zone to do that. So they slide past some teams. Crush a couple final rocks here, and I'm curious where this third circle is going to be, as we're outside the lake now, so we won't have to worry too much about that.
Yeah, so got about a minute before we're kind of going to see what happens. Meanwhile, we're just going to keep really preparing for that late game, making sure we're maxed out on mats. And the big thing I want to see is making sure that we're not expending too many mats early on in the circle. Because I feel like part of that can be you want to set yourself up, but if the circle isn't kind to you and just moves on, at that point your Disney castle isn't going to help you too much.
Exactly, and making sure if you have a launch pad, which I don't know if I've seen any of the players pick one up, make sure you're able to save that until you need it. You see both
launch pad seems to be key in these late game scenarios.
Both our teams are about next to each other here. You can see that the big lake is right outside where the Tsunamis are. I am a bit curious how the Tsunamis will transition into that end game, because neither of them have full shields at the moment. And I don't know if they just don't have the resources for it, or they don't want to expend like a chug jug just to get 11 shields. So I'm curious if that'll end up biting them in the butt, but we'll have to find out.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those risks where you want to be efficient with your items. You don't want to use a full jug just to get 10 shields, but it's a risk you have to take then. If you just get shot, caught unaware, you're going to take all that damage and really be hurt.
Can't see there, the damage threshold of the Storm Surge has started, so it's all fair game from here for everybody.
Yeah, like you mentioned, those Tsunamis are well above that threshold.
Problem is they're the ones getting shot at. Donut was just out there looting and took about 50 points of shield damage.
Yeah, definitely might be worthwhile to use some of those jugs now. Get those shields back up, but the Monsoons still looking for some combat. They have not found anyone to really fight against yet.
Only 20 below the threshold, so they don't need to worry too much about it. Just a couple shots here and there, and they should be fine.
Got a bit of time for it. See on the mini-map, there's a few teams nearby as well, and they're kind of making their way towards them.
And there's a lot of teams up on that hill where that building is. You can see there, it usually looks like about 2, maybe 3 squads up there fighting each other.
Now. None of them connecting yet. Actually, no, one did connect. They are above the threshold now.
Just by 1 point.
That's all they need.
That is true. They're going to reposition up a little bit.
Yeah, just keeps building up, keeping themselves safe. See a few more shots. Looking for someone I can get some pot shots onto.
That's all pretty safe. You can see that high ground over there. You got 3, 4 teams. Well, they're gonna
from below.
Well, they're gonna push this squad.
I don't know if they know they're here yet.
They're taking shots from other places. There we go. They're gonna just jump up right in their face.
Talk about half the shields out there.
Oh.
Taking the damage for themselves.
Yeah, the other squad did not care that the Monsoons tried to push up, and Heiza took full shield damage.
Yeah, I feel like it just wasn't coordinated too well, or his teammate wasn't really joining in. They didn't quite work together and time that right. But they both took some damage. They're going to have to fall back and retreat here. Maybe make their way a bit closer to the circle.
That circle is by that high ground hut we were watching where all those squads are fighting. That's going to be a very interesting rotation for the Monsoons especially. You can see the Tsunamis are kind of on that outer ridge. They're at the top of the mini-map for the Monsoons there. They'll probably push right past them here in a moment, but that's a very awkward circle because it's right as that hill begins, and if you're not on that hill, you're going to be a sitting duck for a lot of squads.
Yeah, it's so difficult to really push up the hill, let alone up the buildings on top of it. Just makes it so hard to really attack these positions, so have to see how they decide to play it. There's so many teams up ahead of them.
See Donut there, able to loot up. Ooh, gonna pick up the sniper, see if they can see anybody.
Yeah, I like it. See if they can find any nice shots on someone. They're still just a little bit out of the circle, but they do have plenty of time.
Hit the first shot. Nothing connected though. Ooh, the Monsoons, I think we're actually able to rotate just on the outside of that circle, so they should be able to move in here at any time.
Looks like they're gonna go for it now. Just gonna get a little bit of safety, a little bit before everyone else starts coming in from behind them. Tsunami is pretty close as well, just have to go a little bit farther.
Donut just took a big shot right through all their shields.
It's the danger of rotating a bit late. Everyone's kind of looking for those stragglers coming in, trying to survive the storm, and they got punished for it, but luckily they do have the resources for it. They're able to get back to full shields. But they're still a little bit outside, so they're gonna have to push a bit farther.
They're actually
Heiza's getting a few shots on.
They're actually gonna push right into the Monsoons, who are right in front of them. I'm curious if they'll end up fighting each other. Yeah, you can see the Monsoons are looking at the Tsunamis.
Yeah, they see them.
This will be very interesting to see if we get early Esports Tower action.
Heiza's a little low on shields, though. Might be a bit dangerous of a fight for them to take. But if they're able to win it out, they'll be sitting pretty and have plenty of resources for the rest of this game.
Tsunamis end up opting not to take that fight, neither do the Monsoons. You see another circle rotation here, going to push even further in for both our teams. So those mid to late game rotations that we talked about the Tsunamis have been working on going to come in clutch here because they're going to have to make quite the maneuver through a lot of teams here in about a minute or so.
Yeah, they've got to decide how they want to play this pretty quickly because at this point in the game, a single mistake can be costly. Whether it's going down or if it's just your mats or some kind of your equipment. They have to play this smart and really need to rotate safely.
The rotation here from the Monsoons first.
Taking a few shots.
Looks like Heiza is able to build up though in that zone. Get nice and safe. Now it's the Tsunami's turn to make the same rotation.
Yeah, they're getting close. Storm's gonna start shrinking here though.
They can get to the other side of that circle, which is kind of where it looks like Donut is going. It is a little bit more wide open. It is.
He's running for it. Donut's gone quite a ways. Not taking any shots.
The long push around ends up looking like it might work for the Tsunamis. They're going to be able to get that high ground. They're going to be able to get away from a lot of squads.
Feeling pretty good about the Tsunami's position here. It's going to come down to this next circle movement, though. continue making their way up this other tower.
Yeah, you can see they're scouting the outside. They're kind of guarding that circle as it pushes in. Making sure no one can push in behind them.
Yeah, just have to wait a little bit longer. Have the storm to protect them behind their backs, but looks like they can actually push a little out. Not too happy with their positioning. Gonna come down here. Find the Jingle Bell Bush.
Big damage onto Heiza there. A lot of shields gone.
Yeah, he's gonna have to heal up. Just really pushing into their resources here. We're getting to the top 50, 51 players left. The circle's taken quite a move. There's only like one team in there. So everyone's gonna have to start pushing towards them.
See that damage threshold that the Monsoons are 100 damage below, so it's going to start to eat through their shields even more, which I don't have a lot of. Is see what Heiza and their teammate can do.
Yeah, they're starting looking for the early rotate. They're getting pretty close. They heal up a bit more. They're kind of scrapping by in terms of healing. They've taken a lot of fights already.
They haven't really dished out much punishment either.
Unfortunately not. Meanwhile, Donut.
I think that's Heiza shooting at him, actually.
Oh, I think you're right.
Now, it looked like it was Heiza. They got people coming in, so they'll provide him some extra cover fire, I guess. They get the knock onto Matey.
See them continuing to push forward. Really trying to punish these players for their rotations. There's a few more going to be coming from their backs. They really need to get inside this building.
All right, we'll push in, but you can see some shotguns coming out onto their teammate. They do get the elimination confirmed there onto Matey. Able to get some resources and at least get some more shields. But both our players are in the same house here, so.
Yeah, pretty close to Camp Cuddle. See if this circle decides to shift us over there.
So
things get dangerous.
Now we still have 21 squads in this tiny circle. Oh, a ton of damage. Barely gets that wall up in time. A couple
They're
more.
safe, but they gotta heal up. And I need to find someone they can take out. Ooh, more shots coming out onto the Monsoons.
Someone right on the other side of that wall. They are building. They're gonna look for a way out now. Sneak around into the storm.
Right on the edge, cutting it real close.
The storm will push the way they're sitting on, so maybe they're looking, yeah, they're going to get like an early rotation here potentially. But that is a bit scary because that could mean you get shot in the back.
Yeah, they just have to be really careful with their positioning and how they decide to push forward. Looks like they want to get a little bit more high ground. Meanwhile, the Tsunamis are making their way across as well. 18 teams left.
He's got kind of got the high ground, low ground difference here. It's the Tsunamis up in that high to mid ground area. Monsoons are the ones down on the ground.
Shots coming from everywhere. Definitely have to be careful here. See Heiza going flying around a little bit.
Does look like
position, but his teammate's gonna take some damage, get knocked. Heiza's looking pretty low.
Ooh, trying to save their teammate.
Set the shields.
Ooh, just taking a lot of damage. I think that will eliminate the Monsoon. So now it's all up to our Tsunami players here. See if they can improve on that top 15 they got last round.
Yeah, they're doing well so far. We see the circle continuing to shrink. It's going to start moving again here soon.
And a little bit of damage from in front. But looks like that one gets barricaded off.
And we're in top 14 now. 25 players remaining.
Or am I shrinking once again?
Looks like they're one of the early rotators. Someone pushes up behind them. Able to get some shots, but not able to finish anyone out.
Yeah, have them trapped in the storm. Looks like they're able to get away from them. To be able to shield back up. Merc picked up another kill in that whole exchange as well, so it's like forcing them into the storm worked out.
Yeah, definitely was a good strategy you saw there. Able to heal up. Mark's still at about half shields. Hopefully he'll be able to have some equipment to keep him alive, but we'll have to see what they bring out here. We're at the top 10. We've made it. The Tsunamis are doing well.
Improvement from last game. Thinking that top 10, now top 8, but they are getting shot at from a couple different angles. Gonna jump
the ball, but they find someone. Have to jump into the storm for a moment.
all the way to that low ground. They do make the rotation here to this very tiny circle.
It's definitely difficult right now because none of these mats are theirs. They can't edit it. They don't have quick ways out. The only way out is to destroy some of these.
This looks like exactly what they're doing. They are in the final. Oh! Squad on the other side there.
A lot of damage. Donut gets knocked.
Oh, they both got down. Just looked like maybe a top 5 there. Well, great improvement for the Tsunamis. Monsoon's doing a good job as well. And if you want to be seen by expert college recruiters, talk directly to esports industry insiders like pro athletes, team general managers, and game producers, then join the club. Esports Tower players get insider access to industry insights with our featured Rumbles. Recruiters are taking notice as well. It's a great way to score exposure if you're looking to start your path to pro or land a collegiate scholarship. Great improvement there for the Tsunamis, making it, I think, top 5, maybe top 6. Hard to tell there at the end. And Monsoon's doing a good job. I think they got a top 15, just kind of got caught in rotation. But our teams with some great improvements there in game number 2, Koba.
Yeah, that was really well done. We really saw them rotate. They're able to actually find a lot of action, but able to survive it. And that was what the key thing. Even just fighting right at the beginning of this game and just able to get themselves that early damage, keep themselves safe from the threshold. And it was really well played by the Tsunamis.
Well, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back with more Fortnite action in match number 3. We'll see what the teams want to drop. We get early shots or we clue it up and wait till everything starts to go crazy towards the end. We'll find out right after this.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Welcome back into this Esports Tower Rumble broadcast. The club championships at Fortnite. It's about halfway through our week number 1. Both teams been doing phenomenal so far. The Tsunamis with a top 5 finish there at the end. In Game 3 around the corner for all of our teams here. We'll see if somebody can pick up our first victory royale of the night. It's been a few weeks since we've had a team pick that up. Fish and not Koba here calling all of the action. At Koba, we saw that top 5 finish for the Tsunamis. Again, the Monsoon's kind of in that top 15 range where all of our teams have kind of been, where everything gets really, really compact. You got to be very, very careful. So what's that little thing our teams need to do to get into that victory royale range, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I know I said it before, but it's really all about those late game rotations, keeping yourself safe, watching your back, making sure you can really see where you're going to be pushed from, and really either taking that aggressive action early where you've got the jump on the team, or able to kind of find some kind of advantage for yourself. We know we say it all the time in Doc's Keys, but never take a fair fight. You know, make sure you're in control of the battles you're taking.
Speaking of Doc's Keys, let's take a look at him right there. And I think we can add never take a fair fight into one of these as well, which is have a drop plan, work your strategy, know your role, and of course those sweaty comms. And those comms become so important in that end game. You got to be quick, you got to be precise. You don't need to be filling up with your life story. You just got to make the calls, and hopefully your teammate can act on them. Improve your game sense, improve your team play, improve your performance under pressure. You can match with great players and professional coaches to help you rank up. And I think we're about time to jump into game number 3 here. Looks like at the end of the day, the Tsunamis end up with a top 7 finish. Thought we maybe snuck into the top 5. Doesn't look like that is the case. We'll see if they can improve on that. The Infernos had an early exit in our last game, but we'll see if they can improve here as well. As we'll switch over to them and see if anybody can pick up a victory royale to end up the night. As we'll go back to the Infernos, we'll stick with the Tsunamis as well, and we'll see how both these squads do. Is once again the Tsunamis in that similar location out in the snow, and we'll see if they drop somewhere where they're allowed to fight this time, because they started out with an early fight last time.
Yeah, seems to be a little safer so far at the start. You see a few members falling down from some of the other players in the lobby, but so far it looks like both our teams here are pretty safe. But it looks like the Infernos are actually going for an early save.
Looks like they're both there.
Open that up, get some early high-quality loot. Yeah,
And they're outside the circle, which is usually the safe zone, so I don't think they're going to have to worry that there is a third player over there.
yeah, they're pretty close to the Joneses. It's a little about far away from what we've seen so far. We've mostly been sticking to the snow in these games so far. So nice to see some greenery.
Tsunamis are always in the snow. They're always in the snow, and I swear we always end up at this same island just off the coast over here where Donut is rotating over towards.
Yeah, it might be one of those hidden gems where you can always find some loot, and it's not picked up too often, so they know it's kind of one of those safe zones where they're able to guarantee they find some kind of loot, do some fishing as well.
Some harpoon fishing at that. Doesn't look like they found anything of too much value here, but they're at least able to get some good loot, as you said. No one, not really contested. I don't think I've ever seen another player over here. We need to name this, like, I don't know if Tsunami Island's a good name for an island, maybe not, but they are always over here, which again, we talk in Doc's Keys, you got to have a drop plan, and even if that drop plan is dropping the same spot because you know the zone, that's still a good way to feel confident going into that mid game, because you're like, hey, look, I know we're going to get loot because I know the area in case it's a fighting zone, I know where we can hide, so I like the plan that the Tsunamis have.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good strategy where you really know the location, know where the good safe zones are, know where you're able to build up and maybe find just a solid plan where you know how you want to play at the map. But meanwhile, see the Infernos finding some loot over this temple. They're kind of pretty close to the Daily Bugle. Have to see if they decide to push into there. But so far, both teams are getting pretty solid loot.
Almost like a little bit of a deja vu from game number 1, where, you know, we saw the Tsunamis drop on this island. We saw the Infernos drop over by that Daily Bugle, kind of loot up and then rotate over. And we'll have to see if either team improves on their results from that game number 1. Coaches have told us that Donut really understands the game, wants to work hard to be a better leader, and I think it really shows with how fast him and Merc, who's a new player, have improved. I mean, they went from a top 15 to a top 7 finish and really had a chance to maybe make a top 5 run, just got in a fight, and the other team just had a little bit better gun skill and was able to win that. But they were right on that precipice of being in that top 3, and you never know what can happen at that point.
Yeah, and one of the things you have to remember is this isn't just like your solo queue. This isn't just online play. This is a specific scrim server where everyone is trying their hardest. You know you're always playing against good players.
Yep.
So getting that top 10 is massive and really shows some of the dedication from these Esports Tower players.
So far, though, early on, we're just looting up. We're not worrying too much about what's going on here. Again, got to wait until that storm surge sets in, which is right when the third circle starts to shrink. And that's when these players can start fighting. So right now, we'll just make sure we're all looted up. Make sure you've got your shields. You're ready to go. See some early building out here, but you can see a squad over on the corner of this peninsula. But I don't know if we'll see much shooting from the Tsunamis.
Yeah, it seems like they're pretty safe right now. Don't think they're too worried. Don't see them preparing to build any kind of protection. They're just kind of fishing it up. They bounce in and out of the water. Yeah, there are a handful of stairs coming in front of them. Definitely seems like there was some kind of action going on here earlier.
Oh, they take a look at him through the sniper scope, say, how do you do? And then just simply walk away.
Yeah, just on the edge of Camp Cuddle again, where we saw the circle ended over in this area last game, but doesn't seem like we're going to get a similar ending here.
Looks like the circle's more down towards that Greasy Grove, Rocky Reels area. At least heading in that direction. Can't quite see where it starts here on the map, but it is definitely a long ways away from the Tsunamis. But again, 3 minutes left. Even when the storm shrinks, you take like 1 damage per second. You've got a car right in front of you. You're not too worried really about any of that right now.
Yeah, Tsunamis are sitting pretty, they're feeling pretty good about themselves. They've got all the time in the world to really figure out their plan. We do hear some cars driving around on the outside, so you know they're not alone. Like we mentioned, they're in the safe zone. They're feeling pretty good, so they don't have to be too worried about it.
There we are back in the Daily Bugle for the Infernals. We'll see if it's too looted up or if they'll get a little bit better use.
Yeah, I'm going to buy some ammo here. We're able to find a little bit of value here. Looks like there's a chest inside here as well, so yeah, not too bad of a find.
Well, get that chest, get that materials, bunch of squads over here, but again, no need to worry yourself. Everybody can share in the loot.
Yeah, so far, pretty calm start. Nothing too crazy happening, but we'll have to see how that goes as we go further into this late game. 24 have fallen so far, 6 to 38 teams, so about average for how we go. Maybe a little bit more action. I feel like normally we're still in the 80s at this point.
Yeah, this definitely feels like a lot of action. Yeah, you're right. It's usually like low 80s, maybe even sometimes low 90s of players left as the storm is starting to encroach on our two teams. You can see it just on the top of their mini-map. A little bit closer for the Infernos. It's actually right on their tail. But they don't really look too concerned about it right now.
Yeah, they do have a vehicle nearby as well. We saw them run by that truck, so they've definitely got a lot of options here. We'll have to see if they decide to go for it. Seems like they might just decide to run.
Storm's not too quick, though. I mean, at this point, they don't even look like they're concerned about being in the storm.
Not so much.
There's that vehicle.
Okay with that damage.
Again,
Find it up, though.
1 per second. You really can't complain about that. Take the Spider-Man jump pad there.
You know, gotta look good. Gotta show off a little bit. Show off their driving skills. Get ready for the next Fast and Furious movie.
They are going to take a lot of damage from the circle, actually. About 50%, if not more. So, assume they'll have a med kit, but definitely a risky strategy to take that much damage from the early circle.
Yeah, they're still a little bit of ways away.
Ooh. Get a little bit, you know, I'm getting a little uncomfortable right now for the Infernos.
Yeah, they're taking some serious damage.
They are able to get out, but it feels like I don't think they intended to stay that long.
Yeah, it really depends on what kind of equipment they have. Maybe they're just feeling confident. They've got quite a bit of med packs. So they're not too worried about taking all this damage. We'll have to see what they decide to bust out and start healing themselves up.
It's like this time they'll make a quick early rotation into the second circle. They don't want to deal with that. They probably want to make sure they could get a location set up. Start to heal up from that damage they took from the circle.
Looks like even though they've just made it, they're going to have to move pretty quickly again. The circle's not in the favor of either team. Both just continuing to have to move throughout this map, just going farther and farther south. Like we mentioned, Infernos have that truck, so they can kind of really opens up the map for them. They can really go wherever they want to.
Yeah, they've put some considerable distance between them and the circle. Still a long way to go. They dropped very far away.
Yeah, it looks like we're keeping going. We're going to go just drive right past Rocky Reels. I don't think they want to hop in here. Looks like they're going to hop out, actually. Let's see, the Tsunamis find a vehicle of their own to make some quick movement as well. And here we go. We finally see the Infernos healing themselves back up.
Yeah, get that med mist going, able to heal back up to full. Like that storm never even happened, but it was very, very sketchy there for a few moments. I was like, well, if you crash this car, you might be dead.
Yeah, that's always the danger. Right a thin line of trying to sit in the storm for too long, where if the car flips, it's gonna take a lot more damage than you expect.
We're still not even close to this circle. Now we do see the Tsunamis have just snuck into it there, so.
Yeah, they made it just barely. So looks like we're got an edge circle, so we'll have to see if they end up in the ocean too much or if it's gonna be mostly on land. Let's see where it rotates. Meanwhile, look at this map for Tsunamis. Everyone's already here, with the last members really joining up.
You see that the Storm Surge has started, so they are allowed to start opening fire a bit here.
Inferno is able to put themselves up above that Storm Surge as well, so just feeling pretty safe right now. There's a lot of teams in the area. We see them taking a few shots on that car.
Doing a decent bit of damage to it. Oh, even get a one hit on the shield there. One of the members in that car.
Yeah, they're not the only ones shooting at it, but looks like they're going to make the car veer out of the way. But see, they made it to the mini-map. Or on the mini-map, they did make it in the circle, so they'll be able to hop out and start building themselves up to safety.
They got a couple people behind them, kind of those late rotators. They're able to get some damage onto them. So are the Donut and company. Both teams well above that damage threshold early on, so they were able to get some good shots off. And I don't think either team took return fire, so they get to save some of those resources as well, which is pretty huge.
Yeah, the only thing I have to worry about is where the circle's going and maybe running out of ammo, as they're just constantly firing on these other teams. For now, they're feeling pretty safe. Still well above the damage threshold, so it's nothing they have to worry about.
Curious where this circle is going to rotate, though, because you said we are kind of out by the ocean. So that could be probably some extreme rotations to keep them outside the boundary of the map. Maybe we might even move over into the desert area. We'll have to see.
Yeah, it's always exciting when you kind of see just have these wide open areas for the final circle. We see a few people bounce padding their way in, but it looks like they're going to be safe, not going to take too much damage. Meanwhile, there's the circle. You see the Infernos are still a bit outside of it, and they've got to go through a lot of teams to get in.
Yeah, that edge corner right on that lake is very well safeguarded, very well gate kept by, looks like 3 squads. Curious if maybe the Infernos have a launch pad to be able to get in.
They're going to have some kind of creative way in.
Meanwhile, the Tsunamis will have to also move in, but not anywhere nearly as extreme.
And not as far. They're pretty close.
They can even just
go for it right now.
Oh!
Take some shots, though.
Big damage coming out from one of those towers up above.
They are able to make it in, though. Start building up their tower, but they're going to have to heal. Both looking fairly low on shields. At least half for Donut, and Merc almost lost all of them.
Yeah, Merc had to go through, I think, 2 chug jugs just to get back up to full. Donut will have to use one as well. You can see tossing a couple shield potions over to his teammate. Yes, they're now in the circle. We'll see if the Infernos are going to be able to make that rotation as well. They should be able to, but they're in a very precarious location.
They've pushed up, but they're surrounded, and the storm's coming in. Or not quite yet, but it's going to be coming in, pushing them into those other teams. It's going to be difficult to really push through for the Infernos.
This is one of the things the coaches said they've been working on in VOD reviews: rotations, tunneling, off-spawn fights as Fall takes some damage. Coaches say both these players visual learners, so VOD reviews really help with things click, and you see that. They get a nice rotation in. They take a bit of damage, but they're able to survive for now. As you can see, those walls are not staying alive for long.
I think they're still just outside the circle as well. They need to go a little bit deeper to really make themselves feel safe. But they did make it all the way here with the 8 teams in front of them, so the fact that they made it at all is incredibly impressive. So we see 35 teams remaining, 66 players. It's getting a little dicey. They're getting smaller and smaller circles. We're going to start seeing that number shrink pretty quickly.
Yeah, very curious where this circle is going to rotate. 'Cause I mean, that whole bottom half of the circle that you can't quite see on the mini map of Donut here is just ocean. I mean, there's an island out there, but that's about it. So I'm gonna be very curious to see where this circle kind of pushes these players. We do see a little bit of damage going out on the Donut. They've got a player right below them, actually. They do need to be very careful.
Storm's coming in. There's a handful of teams still on the outside that are really going to be forced inside. Might be able to find some shots onto those. Storm does finish up here. We'll have to see where the circle moves. Ooh, just on the edge of the Infernos. They got to keep going towards that edge. A lot of teams are outside that circle.
A bunch of damage went out onto Fall. And here's somebody trouncing around above them, it sounds like. Yeah, both our teams are on that outside edge of the circle. The Tsunami's kind of on the other side of that lake there, where the light green and dark blue triangles are kind of right on top of each other on your map. Oh! Player, right, that's who was making all that noise. The storm is shrinking very soon here.
Yeah, they're going to have to find a way out of here pretty quickly, which might just require them to go directly through that player. Gonna fire a few shots, scare them off a little bit, but for now, they're not making too much progress.
20 seconds until that storm rotates. We do see that the Tsunamis actually were able to kind of sneak in a cave here and re-loop back up pretty close to the circle as well. So they got out. We'll see if the Infernos are able to get out as well, as there's still quite a lot of people left.
Yeah, they're able to stay in these caves all the way there, though. But it definitely makes rotating out very difficult if the circle just kind of goes directly through the cave with a path you can't follow. But Infernos do find a bounce pad. They're going to take it, make their way across. Trying to push up on one of these towers built out. They jump on 2 players, but they're going to play it safe, build themselves up.
Mini ends up taking decent bit of damage as they do get discovered, and now we'll have to start building wall after wall after wall.
Yeah, they're both ready. They're building those walls, building the staircases, the pyramids, keeping themselves safe. Tsunami is going to push out a little bit.
Donut is full life. Merc taking a little bit there, but probably has the resources to heal back up just whenever they feel safe. And now we start to see where the circle really makes those extreme rotations. Out in the water would be hilarious, but I don't think that's where we'll end up.
Probably not, but we'll see. There's always a chance of it. Find out in a few seconds here. So we get down to 27 teams, half the lobby, coming down to this tiny circle on the right.
I do think this tiny circle favors the Infernos just a little bit. They were more along that outer edge. The Tsunamis are going to have to make a very long rotation across a lot of open ground.
And across a lot of teams.
Yeah. You can hear all the shooting going on in the background.
Yeah, looks like so far other teams are a little distracted with some of the others. Might give them an opportunity to at least make a little bit of ground.
Infernos in that giant hodgepodge of team, still over half the lobby. 51 players still alive.
I think it's been a few minutes since the player's gone down.
I know, we started fast. We had like less than 75 left in our early zones, and now we're still got half the lobby alive here.
Yeah, see a few fall here.
Oh, might even be the Infernos as well, as they're taking a bit of damage.
A lot of shots coming in. Mini's doing well, though. Didn't take too much in. Merc goes down, though. Donut's getting chased.
Oh, Donut's gonna run.
Half health. Continue running. Sorry, Merc, we gotta leave you behind.
Sorry, Merc, you are, Donut, I don't know if you're gonna last much longer either. Walked right into another squad.
Gonna drop down, go for that low ground, but I actually like this play.
They're able to survive. They're getting beamed from all angles.
Just can't find that opportunity to heal. Oh, actually, found Merc.
Might be able to get Merc up. That's some great communication.
1 HP.
Wow.
0 shields, 1 HP for Donut. He's going for the res. I believe they're inside the circle.
Oh, no! They weren't inside the circle.
Oh, what a tragic ending for them.
It was so close to being the insane hero play for Donut.
Well, Infernos are still doing well. They're alive.
Gotta make
Missing about a little shields, but
crazy rotation across the pawn.
gonna have to see these teams start rotating pretty soon here. Here the alarms go off as the circle starts moving. See a few teams already on the outside of that circle. That's gonna start hurting, but we're actually just realized the Infernos are pretty far below that damage threshold.
Yeah, they are. They got a decent bit of ground they're gonna have to make up here. Hopefully able to find some squads. They do find a squad, end up landing on them. Fortunately, not able to use that healing spray as the circle's just gonna push Fall well away. Only 36 HP, yep, down. Unfortunately had a player following Mini as well.
Yeah, that's gonna be dangerous. Just so difficult to really push through here. Cross that lake. Comes down to Mini, who's got 60 HP, but is taking damage fast, and it's pretty difficult to push through here. He's gonna hop in the lake.
Oh,
no!
The storm, I think, plus the surge kind of all zapped him at once, and the storm, the ultimate enemy of both our teams in that game. Well, if you want to be seen by expert college recruiters, talk directly to esports industry insiders like pro athletes, team general managers, and game producers, then join the club. Esports Tower players get insider access to industry insights with our featured rumbles. Recruiters are taking notice as well. It's a great way to score exposure if you're looking to start your path to pro or land a collegiate scholarship. Talked about rotations. That's got to be the one thing I'm sure these teams are thinking about after that last game, because all 4 members end up dying to that storm damage, and that can happen sometimes when you get caught in the late rotation, you get shot from behind, you don't have any shields, and then that storm surge damage, always got to be an eye on it. That ended up dooming the Infernos there at the very, very end.
Yeah, definitely just really hurts to have that be the ending of both those games, but it's not over yet. We do have one more game for tonight.
We do. We'll see if they're able to talk it out, figure what went wrong. We got 1 game left. We'll see if somebody's able to wrap it up with a victory royale. We'll find out right after this break.
NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Welcome back in Esports Tower Rubble, week 1 of the club championships here in Fortnite. Broadcasting it live from the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. About to have our final game of the night. See if the Tsunami's able to improve on that last performance where, again, just getting caught in those late rotations. Fishakoba here calling all the action to those late rotations. The Storm Surge, the ultimate killer of our teams, wasn't even another player in the lobby.
Yeah, definitely a hard finish, but I mean, it was well played up until that point. We saw Donut survive with 1 HP, almost able to get that clutch of being able to revive the teammate, heal up, and really continue that run going. So it was well played, just a little unfortunate. I think what I'd like to see a little bit more is just kind of teams trying to set up a little bit safer inside these zones, see if they can really not be caught in that storm, not caught in the rotations, at least a little earlier, give them a little more mats to work with later in the game, and play it a little safer.
Yeah, both our teams dropped incredibly far away from the circle, almost on the other side of the map from the circle. I think that kind of just doomed it from the start. But again, we talked about it. They've been dropping in very familiar locations every single game. So maybe it's just something they're familiar with. We'll have to see. But adapting to those late circles will be something that the teams will have to keep in mind. And they'll also have to keep in mind Doc's keys to the game. We'll throw it to that one more time. It's presented by the Esports Tower. Score pro advice at esportstower.com. Those are to have a drop plan, work your strategy, know your role. Got to have those sweaty comms as well. You got to have a late game plan. You got to plan out all 3 phases. We talk about it all the time in some of our other games. Mid game, early game, late game. Got to have an idea of what you're going to do in every single one. Improve your game sense, improve your team play, improve your performance under pressure. You can match with great players and professional coaches to help you rank up. Well, it's time to hop into our final game of the night and see who comes out on top for the first week of the Esports Tower Club Championships. They struggled in Game 3, as we saw, had some early exits, getting caught out on positioning and rotation. Look to bounce back right now in Game 4, turn their attention to the second week of the Club Championships. Let's hop in to the final game of the night. We'll get another look at the Tsunamis, who got a player right next to him. Thought I saw a shot go out, but might have been an accidental misfire because it doesn't look like either player's going to fight each other.
Yeah, seems like they're in a safe zone. They're not going to fight too much. Going to play a little bit safe. But for now, they're just kind of stacking up, getting some shields. And they are able to find an ATV. Going to kind of drive around a little bit, maybe try and find themselves a spot where they don't have quite as many people going to those same mats.
They're out at Tsunami Island again, though, Koba.
It's a favorite.
It is. Every single game. Nice jump.
Look at the precision. That's not the first time Donut has taken an ATV to this island.
Yeah, Donut has a lot of practice here. Usually looks for the grappling hook. Unfortunately, this time going to be forced to do the old-fashioned fishing.
A little bit slower, but still does the same job. Able to find some of these items. See if he's able to stack up. He might have missed right there.
Yeah.
We're going to find that item.
Bing. Oh.
Finds it eventually.
Dang, ends up getting a gun there as well. And Donut, I mean, you mentioned that jump. They've actually been part of the Esports Tower Fortnite Club since the very first week of the program, which makes him perfect, one, for pairing with a new player like Merc, like we talked about, and also means there are a lot of hours on his Fortnite account.
Yeah, and it's incredible seeing how well he's played over these weeks, especially how he's pairing up with Merc for their being their first time playing together. Merc's a brand new player to the Esports Tower program, and looks like he's not actually alone this time.
Hey, get off our island. This is our island here, sir. Merc's going to come over there, but again, no shooting early on, so unfortunately they'll just have to stare at each other and menacingly throw fishing poles.
Yeah, some shots going down. You see someone's getting knocked across the map, but see a few shots coming out. Actually,
I think that was an NPC. I think that was an NPC.
Might have been an AFK.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it just happens some of these times. Someone just gonna fall all the way outside and usually get taken out by the storm, or sometimes one of these other players.
Yeah, when sometimes players just drop out there and are like, hey, you know, how's it going out there? How you doing? Tsunamis have not managed to scare the player off their island, unfortunately, so.
Yeah, they're just kind of waiting, looking for an opportunity, hoping that they can start their combat soon, but they're gonna take their ATV.
They did take their ATV.
There is a truck here still, so Tsunamis have options, but it looks like they're gonna prefer just to
Swim away.
yeah, start building their way back up as well.
Merc just chilling up here. It's only Donut who goes down to that island. Never Merc, which is interesting.
You know, I kind of like that just because he's able to keep the high ground, watch over, make sure they're staying safe. Gives them opportunity to really keep an eye on everything that's going on as we see the invisible ATV.
Yeah, Merc is somehow, we can see barely the outline of the tires.
I find a new one though. Might decide to transfer over. No, they're gonna look for two maybe.
Yeah, I mean, hey, 2 cars better than 1, so now it's Donut who's been gifted the invisible ATV.
Yeah, they've got. Looks like they're starting quite a ways away from the circle again, unfortunately. But they've got plenty of time. They've got double ATVs, so they'll be able to make their way pretty quickly, find some resources before they have to really book it all the way over there.
I mean, I will say, the Tsunamis are nothing but consistent, right? I mean, they dropped in the same spot all 4 times. They've looted kind of in the same location on that island all 4 times. They have, I mean, they talk about it in Doc Seas, they have a drop plan. Unfortunately, I just think the circle hasn't really worked out for them because they always have to make these long rotations, and that's kind of where they've been caught.
Yeah, it's really only been that first game where the circle was anywhere near them. Since then, they've been forced to really rotate pretty far. But they decided to go for just the one ATV here.
Sticking together. They do have our best finish on the night. They did pick up a top 7 in our second game, so.
True. Make their way over into the circle. Just outside the lake here. Keep pushing up, looking for some more materials. Grab some steel here.
Do see the beginning of the circle, which might mean for the first time all night we actually get a non-snow circle. And a lot of snowy locations so far. Curious if maybe we move over into the more green areas of the map for this final circle.
Yeah, we'll have to see which way the circle decides to go. I think there's still a lot of snow on this map. It is winter time, so we can hope, but we'll see how lucky we get. Yeah, continue just looting up. And there's only one other team nearby, and looks like they're driving off. So, big amount of area for the Tsunamis to really decide how they want to play this.
I'm curious how far they're going to want to push in between that first and second circle. Of course, no early fighting this time for the Tsunamis, so they will be a little bit behind that storm surge damage.
They're actually in the circle with over 2 minutes left. It's kind of a new sight for them.
It really is. Very, very rarely, most of the time our Esports Tower teams have been fighting against the storm. We do see that other team did come back over on that island, but again, doesn't look like we'll have any interest in fighting.
Yeah, I would like to see these teams push up a little bit more central, give them a few more options once that circle really decides to move, but for now, they're pretty content, just kind of fishing up, grabbing whatever items they can. Ooh, a nice shotgun here.
Yeah, that's kind of nice.
See what this last spot gives. Looks like we're not quite able to find that. Gonna try it again.
Overshot it. I might have undershot it. We'll have to see. Oh, no.
Oh, there it is. Couldn't quite see what it was at the time, though. Whatever it was, Donut decided doesn't need it.
They are going to push over to this island where there are 3 or 4 teams here.
Got someone else fishing.
All just kind of hanging out. Nothing too crazy at the moment.
Only about 30 seconds until that storm starts to move again, so we'll have to see where they really are forced to go. Chop down some trees. A shot or two, but...
I think they were trying to shoot at the tree that fell on them almost.
Yeah, I don't think it was meant for these other teams, as we are in a safe zone.
Might have been just, you know, you're trying to swing your axe, and as the tree collapses because someone else is hitting on it, you're still holding that left click down and end up taking a shot. But yeah, it looks like everyone will disengage. Merc and Donut will just simply swim away. And we'll find out how deep in this circle they really want to go.
Yeah, looks like for now they're still in the circle. To keep it a little safe. I have to see where this really ends up, though. I don't think we're going to make it as far as Sanctuary. So I don't think we're going to get too deep into the grasslands, but we'll have to see.
We talked last lobby when we had about 76 players left. We're down to 70, and we haven't even seen that Storm Surge pick up yet. So this is another very aggro lobby.
Yeah, a lot of early action. We saw a little bit of them just finding some of those outside players, but for now, they're just kind of sitting pretty. They've met up with a few other teams this game. Not quite friendly enough to give them away any gas, but they've sat by some other teams for able to kind of share in the resources in the area. They make their way closer to the center of the circle.
See that second zone right there on the edge for the Tsunami. So Storm Surge going to start here in just a moment. So probably might want to have Merc and Donut get together here just in case one of them gets caught out.
Yeah, still got about 30 seconds. Looks like Merc's making his way back towards Donut, so they don't have to be too worried. But definitely would like to see them get some early action once that damage threshold comes out. Put themselves well above that line so they don't have to worry about it later into the game.
And we saw that cost the Infernos last game. The line just catching up to you. Looks like they're going to start to reposition. You can see more and more squads appearing on the map. Usually means that's where the circle will end up trending.
Yeah, see about 5 teams up on this road here, so see where the combat decides to break out. Storm continues to shrink again, but I believe we're still inside. Actually, it started to shrink, wasn't the movement, so.
Well, there is that threshold.
Yeah, they're keeping themselves safe, though. They're above it.
Oh,
Nice shots coming in.
destroyed the car. Here's other shots as well. Wow, that explosion just...
Quite the damage. Right.
Dang!
They've really got this team pinned down. They're going to push forward to actually find the one elimination on Zig.
Yeah, Merc getting that knock. See if they find... I don't think they'll find a teammate. Oh, they will! There, they get another kill.
A second. It's an elimination for each of them. Crucially, they find a lot of shields, a lot of equipment and resources for themselves. They're really able to push through into here. Wow, they're still feeling pretty safe inside this circle. There's a few teams nearby, especially up north of them, but for now they don't have to spend too long really looking for action as they've gotten a lot of damage in.
They did pick up the crown, so we'll put Donut on the map. Curious to see if they'll want to keep with it or not, or if that'll make them a little bit more of a target from other players.
Yeah, definitely a dangerous position to put yourself in, but as long as you're able to hold on to it for a while, will definitely help you out, especially if you can get to that final ending.
Yeah, they're able to win. Maybe pick up that special emote. Shows how many wins you've gotten with the crown. Always a nice little bragging right there. So
it's even more impressive on a scrim server. So.
Exactly.
For now, ooh, they're inside the circle again.
Oh, that's a great rotation. They're going to be nice and well ahead of the Storm Surge, especially picking up those 2 eliminations. So should not have to worry about that for a long time.
Yeah, things are definitely looking good for the Tsunamis in this game. I want to say this is potentially the best positioning they've had all day. Just have to be a little careful. There's 2 teams just to the north of them. They're going to have more teams coming from behind as some of these players trying to make their way inside the circle. See a few of them just on the outside there. Down to 63 players, though. Don't make that 62. See a few more just bouncing around. I'll see that number start going crazy here in a little bit, next circle or 2.
See the Storm just on the edge of the mini-map there for Donut.
Yeah, got about 20 seconds till that really starts pushing them in. Pushing the players to start going away. We should see like that Lavender team making their way into the circle. Coming a little close to the Tsunamis.
I'm curious if they'll maybe start shooting out a little bit. Looks like they're actually gonna maybe challenge our team here. They are right below them.
Yeah, Tsunamis get a few shots on that truck. They're gonna take it out. That's another explosion.
Does a decent damage to some of their buildings. Curious if maybe they'll push down onto that Violet team. Doesn't look like they will.
Yeah, for now they're pretty content. They're in the zone. They've got another minute before it starts moving, so they kind of want to see what's going to happen next. Try and catch someone out, get a few shots. Got quite the bunker set up here.
Yeah, got covered from all angles. Don't have to worry too much about that team below them, I don't think.
I do hear some damage, some people smacking some of these buildings apart. Always have to be worried if you make sure you have quite the structure below, so they can't just knock you out and take out your entire structure from the blow.
There is a care package. Oh, Donut was trying to build over to it and pick it up, but it ends up getting down to the ground, and I don't know if anyone's going to make a play for it. Looks like Donut might.
He's thinking about it. Might just want to put himself in a position where he can punish anyone else looking for it as well.
That might be it. Yeah, looking to try and build to it, maybe.
Other teams putting some shots on him.
Yeah.
Shields.
Very.
Merc took some damage as well.
Very risky play there.
He's got the shields to bring himself back up, keep himself in it.
Oh, that's a...
Finally, we see the circle move again. They're not inside of it and have a lot of teams they have to push through to make it.
Man, all those teams know where they are, too. Care package ended up getting picked up by the Tan team, so Donut took all that heat for nothing.
Yeah, definitely a risky play, but at least he was able to survive. Get about half the lobby left at this point. 51 players.
And this is where it really starts to shrink, go into that fourth circle where they're really going to end up on top of each other.
Yeah, looks like they want to make their way up a little bit before they try and push their way out. They want to make use of a bounce pad potentially, or just maybe keep their eye out, see who else is running for it, and try and get some shots on them.
Okay. Still have that team below them who had the truck that they ended up blowing up. Also got a team to their, another team down to their right, but they're actually looking at the squad that was shooting at them.
Ooh.
Oh, big fall damage there for Donut, unfortunately.
That's gonna hurt. Over half your health.
Is able to eat at least 50 health back up, but yeah, that never what you want to have happen.
Making their way across though, getting some distance, but still got a bit of a ways to go. It's got 4 teams right on that circle. Gonna try and push them back. Oh, especially because it's up a hill. I didn't even realize that. This make this so much more difficult.
They can, I think, right at the base of this hill, right here is in the zone if they wanted to maybe try and build on the base. I don't know if that's the play, and it looks like it will be.
Yeah, I'm about to make it safely here, but definitely pretty difficult to play from this area. Don't have many sight lines on anyone. It's hard to see who's coming up behind you. See, oh, a few shots coming out. Found someone.
Doing a decent bit of damage. Ooh,
But they're pretty close to the circle.
that's a nice little rotation there. Should be pretty easy for them.
Yeah, just have to wait a little bit of time before the circle starts moving. Gonna fire a few more shots at the other teams.
Ooh, just saw his foot. Yeah, all these teams have to rotate into them, so they're not too concerned at all.
And they've got a lot of options here.
Yeah,
Really play this however they want to.
Right, the ridge line, they can build up. Looks like we'll build up here a little bit. There are a lot of squads already positioned on the edge of that circle, though, so.
Oh, shots coming down. Donut's taking a lot of damage.
Might want to build down here. They are able to heal back up, at least to 95.
I got a lot of shields as well, so basically back up to full health. Definitely has to be careful running that way. Takes a shotgun shot, but only gets 6 damage for it. A little far. Drops down back to the base of the mountain.
Looks like they should be able to make it into the safe zone. Question is how many squads they're going to be around, and will Donut and company have the chance to heal?
See Merc able to catch up as well. I was a little worried about them being separated, but they're able to keep things safe.
They are taking quite a bit of damage. They do have a launch pad, I think I saw there.
I believe they're running out of shields. I think they don't have many options left in healing.
Showing off their crowns.
We're in the top 24, about half the teams remaining, but 44 players, so there's a few solos running out here. As the circle once again moving hard left. All these teams are gonna have to rotate pretty soon here.
I do think they have a launch pad, so I think they're just waiting. Yep.
There it is.
They're gonna just launch pad over. Risky play here to drop right on top of the ice cube. Got a couple of squads right in front of him.
Gonna make it.
Oh, gets some damage. Donut gets knocked, unfortunately.
Above the threshold, so he won't take as much damage. We'll have to see if Merc's able to get to him. No, he's just gonna let Donut fall. It comes down to Merc to solo this.
Fortunately, the storm, I think, would have eliminated the Merc had he tried to go for the res. It's actually what we saw happen last time, so we'll see how long Merc can survive.
Make his way down a little bit. We're in the top 20. So far, seems to find himself on the edge of this circle. Oh, take some shots there.
Ooh, big damage. Heals back up at least a little bit with those mini shield potions to back to 50.
Still got a little bit left, but not quite in the circle yet. There he is. Was able to make it, but doesn't give him too long until that next circle comes.
Does have to rotate basically kind of back to where he just was. Ooh. And drop down a little bit and watches somebody get a kill right in front of him.
Yeah, we get a little bit damage onto them, but not too much. Gets a little, knocks their shields off. We're in the circle.
Did get an elimination, but Might be dead here. Oh, just gets knocked. Since this is our last game of the night, we'll hop out with somebody else. See how well Reciprocal and Snaz can do here.
Look at this. Snaz has 9 eliminations.
12 combined for these two squads. Pretty impressive, or for these two. It's a pretty impressive number.
Do you see they're not rocking the Christmas spirit though? Maybe.
No, one of them's got a Santa hat on. Yeah, don't.
I was wrong. All right, I'll accept it. I was gonna say that might be the key, but apparently not.
I mean, yeah, Snaz has the 9 kills, and they have the Santa hat, so maybe that's why Reciprocal is lagging behind at 3 with no holiday cheer.
Could be it. We're in the top 10. 7 teams remaining. Some nice damage.
Look at this high ground, by the way. Look at this.
No one can contest him up here.
We're about to be proven right in the last game of the night. Now the Storm Eye will just kind of move and shrink. And everyone else is
3
just...
teams right there. A lot of damage coming out. Get 1 elimination. Snaz gets 2, actually.
Snaz now at 10.
6 players remaining. 5.
5 players, 4 squads. They put themselves in a great position up here.
Yeah, it's so hard for these other players to really contest.
Look at Snaz with the 12.
As they fall down, take some damage though. Get some shots in.
It is the last player.
1 player left.
They find him. There it is. Look at that. And the night on a victory royale, in a sense. Well, if you want to be seen by expert college recruiters, talk directly to esports industry insiders like pro athletes, team general managers, game producers, then join the club. Esports Tower players get insider access to industry insights, and with our featured Rumbles, recruiters are starting to take notice as well. It's a great way to score exposure if you're looking to start to pat your path to pro or land a collegiate scholarship. Overall, not a bad night for the Esports Tower teams. Definitely those late game rotations, I think, will be the focus going into next week's club championships as we wrap up the fall season. But as we move on to the accolade part of the night, Koba, who do you have maybe as your ICCU player of the game?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, we saw some really good plays from these players, really be able to find some solid rotations. I feel like the biggest play had to be Donut almost surviving that, though. I think I almost want to give it to him just for that. Definitely would be Donut if he was able to actually clutch it out.
Oh, for sure.
He played really well. We saw a lot of him today, and he's really able to keep his team in things.
I mean, I was going to go with Merc because, I mean, that was the early fight. The only real early fight we saw all night had that crazy 1v1 clutch where Merc gets the res. Then they're able to get the elimination on the whole squad. The only early fighting we saw. So I think Merc, I thought Merc and Donut played phenomenally. We'll see who is our ICCU player of the game. And, oh, you're right, it is Donut. And had he gotten this, it would have been the play of really the Esports Tower. Comes so close to getting Merc back up.
Yeah, I think honestly the play should have been just to play for himself at this point. Committed a little bit too much trying to get that res, but it was a nice team play and a good try for Donut and the Tsunamis.
So close there. I mean, that zone barely ended, too. If they had maybe, I think they thought the zone might have been right there. If they were able to push just like 3 inches further, they would have been safe as well. Well, the player of the game brought to you by Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central's helping members achieve financial success. Donut is your Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game. And I know the coaches said they are very excited to see how this Tsunami squad performs next week. They've only had about a week of practice together, so be interesting to see how Donut and Merc can do in next week's club championship. But as we prepare to wrap up the night, wrap up the first week of club championships. We've got all the second week coming up next week on Monday through Thursday, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. What are your big takeaways, your final thoughts here, Koba, to end this night?
I mean, I think we saw some incredible plays from these players. We saw them almost always making it to that final circle where it's really just about rotations. I think we might have seen the proof that high ground is a little bit better than the low ground.
I think you're right.
Saw that final victory coming out for that team, and the key point was they're able to stay up high, and no one else was really able to contest them. So it was well played by Esports Towers. Really interested to see what comes out next week and really see how they improve from this, though.
Well, congratulations to all of our teams and competitors in this week's Esports Tower Club Championships. We had some intense games, some great finishes. The Esports Tower teams had some really good improvements as well and shown what they've been working on with their coaching staff. And I definitely think there's things they'll be able to take from this week and bring next week to the second week of our club championship as they adapt their strategy and try and secure that victory royale. The Fortnite talent pool looked incredibly strong through the fall season. Excited to see these teams to continue to grow. Congratulations to everybody. We will be back next week with the conclusion of our Esports Tower Fortnite Club Championships. We'll close out now, though, with our top 5 presented by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time. More than 10 jobs offering a $20,000 bonus and your group choice paid for. The Idaho Army National Guard is one of the best teams out there. And here are your top 5 from the first week of our Esports Tower Fortnite Club Championships.
Invisible 18.
Yeah, Merc is somehow, we can see barely the outline of the tires.
I find a new one, though. Might decide to transfer over. No, they're going to look for 2, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, 2 cars better than 1, so now it's Donut who's been gifted the invisible ATV. Drop down a little bit and watches somebody get a kill right in front of him.
Definitely get a little bit damage onto them, but not too much. Gets a little, knocks their shields off. We're in the circle.
Did get an elimination, but might be...
Just can't find that opportunity to heal. Oh, actually, found Merc.
Might be able to get Merc up. That's some great communication.
1 HP.
Wow.
0 shields, 1 HP for Donut. He's going for the res. I believe they're inside the circle.
Oh, no!
43 players left.
Another rotation here in 10 seconds as the Infernos are looking for another kill. Oh, there's a nice elimination for Fall.
Got one. They're able to pull out a few of those items. They really got this team pinned down. They're going to push forward to actually find the 1 elimination on Zig.
Yeah, Merc getting that knock. See if they find, I don't think they'll find a teammate. Oh, they will. There they get another kill.
Second. It's an elimination for each of them.